What's good, wise people?
Hey everyone.
We're back and we wanted to run you guys through some do's and don'ts in relationships, particularly marriage for this one. But this can apply to even those who are getting into that stage, hopefully for the most part.
All right, let's start off with the don'ts.
The don'ts. Okay.
Okay.
One don't for sure is don't speak death over your spouse. And you may be saying, what are you saying? What am I gonna? You're gonna die. That's not what we mean by speak death.
That's so intense.
Anything that's negative. The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue, right? So when we speak things negative, like things like you never do this right, things like you never or you don't, or there's a certain thing of
why do you always
like that word always.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can reflect or it can imply that this is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say things like that, it's like, Adam was given the job to name the animals, and whatever he named it, that's what it became. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like you're naming your spouse and already saying you're so mean, like just off bat. You don't say like, sometimes it can come out, you don't say it like that. You say, why do you have to be so this?
Why are you always like?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, what would you say? Like,
I completely agree. And I feel like, especially like, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like even as a wife, it's so easy to like get in that frustration and then hit that always. And when you say always, you're speaking a curse of pattern over them.
Wow.
Because always it's like, okay, he always says this. Why are you always?
Yeah.
And
always.
So one thing that like I've learned as a wife is like to speak positively to my husband.
Yeah.
And like if there's things that I don't appreciate or things that I don't really want to see, there's a way of going about it. So instead of like, why do you always leave the toilet seat up? Just being like, because this is what's worked so much more is explaining to him why I like the things I like. I'm like, hey, or for example, like, I think it was like something like, hey, like I really love it when you put your clothes up because then our room can stay tidy and it doesn't like get scattered all the time. So that's the reason why I love for you to do it. So like if you could do it, that would be just amazing. And if you can remember, I know you're having to learn new stuff, but yeah, and it doesn't have to be that long and elaborate, but again, like bringing it with respect. And then next thing you know what, because I gave such a long answer, actually no, be long in your answer, because then when they do it, they're going to think about that long speech you gave, and then they're like, okay, and like also just like cheering them when they do something that you really love. Exactly, so when he did put the toilet seat down, like back, like when we were first married and stuff like that, because that's something I don't like toilet seats up. Like I just don't. I can't take it. Put it down.
Like,
who about to fall? Anyway.
On site.
No, yeah. But like, I'll be like, you know what? Thank you so much for remembering. Oh, baby, thank you. And like, I used to give him kisses and all that. And the next thing you know it, he'd be putting it down at his parents' house, my parents' house.
It boosted me up. You know what I'm saying?
Boost him up. Boost the heart.
Boost the heart. Juice up the heart. But okay. That's producer lingo anyway. But yeah, Nat gave me more of a teaching than a lecture. Mm-hmm. Like there's kind of a difference. I know that sounded similar because a lecture can be a teaching, but it's something about, and when we have the understanding of things, it's better than you just outright saying you just don't do this right. Because again, when that is said, it's almost like, dang, so I don't do nothing right. And then
I'm gonna keep doing. Keep not doing it then.
Again, it's like when you were a child and like it was just like it's like it made you not even want to try. It made you. If I'm this way, then it's like, okay, this is just who I am. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely a don't for sure.
And last thing, speak to the man of your husband, not the boy. Speak to the woman of your wife, not the girl. And so if you speak to him like a little boy, you're going to keep getting little boy behavior. Yeah. But when you honor and respect and like talk to him like a man, you're going to get man. So if you talk to boy, you're going to get boy response. But if you talk to him as a man, you're going to pull that out. So whatever you speak to, you're pulling that out. Yeah. So what do you want to pull out of your spouse? The man, the king in him? I'm saying like this because this is my perspective as a wife. Or do you want to... And same with your girl, like, are you wanting to pull out the wife in her? Are you wanting to pull out that attitude in her? And so it's like, speak to like what you want to pull out in that moment. Because again, like even when you speak to children and you can see kids who are like raised in different households and like some are better behaved than others. And what parents, like when they respect and like talk to their children like they're humans and not like scum of the earth. They behave so much better than, that, because it's so overstimulating, Okay, Number two,
we're gonna do a do.
We're gonna do a do. Okay, so a do.
You do this one.
Okay.
You do this do.
I'll do. Don't kill yourself. Number two is keeping an atmosphere of peace.
Hey.
And the thing is, peace isn't something that just flows out. Peace is something that you structure.
Yeah.
And so again, you structure peace with your tongue, the way you speak, the way that you act, the way, even the environment in which you live.
Yeah.
Like, is there hostile in a home? Like, you ever went in somebody's house and
you felt the heat.
Dang it, what just happened in here?
And you wasn't even in the kitchen, you just felt the heat.
Exactly. Right. And so there is an atmosphere that we put out with. A lot of this is going to be words, okay, y'all? A lot of this is going to be speaking. You know what I mean? And so when we choose peace over the fire, guess what? We're going to continue to get the water. But if we keep going fire, we're just going to keep getting more fire. But if we just start to contradict the fire with the water, the next thing you know, we're going to be flowing in streams in our marriages. But like, how do you expect to get streams, those beautiful streams of living water, if all you're doing is going fire after fire? Even if sometimes you have to take the wrong, and this is on both parties. Like, there's been some times where I've been a little irritated at something you might have said or done, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna choose peace, you know, in this moment. And also trust the Lord that He's shaping him and your woman to be the man and woman of God that they're meant to be. Amen. But as you continue to choose peace, again, it's one of those things where, like, see marriage almost like a mirror in a way. So, like, the more that you, like, move this way, they're going to start to, like, react from that place too. But it might be a little bit of friction at first because like you're having to break a pattern and move into a new one. Absolutely. But once that new pattern is gone, like you're going into that new pattern, it's just so much better. And like we've experienced this so much, like even ourselves, where there's moments where we know we would have gone in an argument, but we just laugh it off and like, you know what? And own what we did. Like, okay, my bad. I messed up right there. I'm so sorry, babe. And like, okay, yeah. And we can continue to move on. Because if we're in this for a long haul, wouldn't we like it to be pleasant?
It's our choice, because many of us, we weren't raised where there was an atmosphere of peace all the time. So we have to learn, like you said, we have to learn to, even if it doesn't feel right in the moment, it feels different, right? To be at peace, right? And I know it sounds crazy. It's like, bro, like sometimes it feels like it's too good to be true, but no, that's your portion, because Jesus is the Prince of Peace, right? He wants you guys to have peace in a feng shui and a flow. So you have to, it's your choice though. We can't blame it on how we came up. We can't blame it. We can choose now, okay, in this house, we're gonna carry peace. The Bible says pursue peace. If it be possible, pursue peace with all men, especially in your marriage. So pursue that. It's something to be pursued. It's something to be cultivated. And as you keep it, that atmosphere of peace, good things start to happen in your life. Doors begin to open because you're not quenching the Spirit. You're not quenching the goodness of God, because the Bible says the earth is full of the goodness of God. So even if you don't see it right now, I know some of you may be going through some very heat moments. Even you watching this video was probably for you. But listen, it can start now, and you can choose today. This is going to be a strife-free zone, and you have to say it. Just like she said, a lot of this has to do with words. Why? Because God created everything with words. So if you want to create a place of peace, you have to cultivate it, not just with your actions, but with your words. Usually your action will follow your words. So you have to just cultivate it, even if it doesn't feel natural. Again, like, it may feel weird, but it's just like, it's also good. You know what I mean? So pursue peace. And
have grace for not only yourself, but also your spouse in this moment too. Because again, a lot of us, we saw a lot of arguments. So we saw where people will just quickly get onto something and argue instead of going for peace. And so just have grace with yourself as well, but also choose the peace, even if it hurts. You know what I mean? Because again, when you're building something new, you're having to lay a new foundation, and it takes time. But boy, when it's done and it's done right, your house will not shake, and your children will be blessed, because it's gonna overflow from you to them, and then when they get in marriage, they're going to have such a fruitful, beautiful, peaceful marriage. And then they're your grandchildren. And so, that's so good. Who do you want it to start with? And sometimes we just have to build a wall and be like, it stops with me.
Another don't is constantly complaining. Listen, guys, if we want to see good things happen in our life, we have to not just minimize. It is possible to just throw complaining out of the window. Yeah. So even like I said, you may be watching this and like up to this point or at this moment, there's just a lot of things that just aren't cooperating in your marriage right now, in your relationship right now. However, we have the power and the ability, especially through God. I want to say this again. We wouldn't be at the place that we're at if it weren't by the power of God through Christ and what he has done for us. If he said that you can do it, if he said to do it, he gave you the ability to do it. So it's just something you have to engage in. But complaining, as we see in the scriptures, the children of Israel, they were being led into the promised land, a place flowing with milk and honey, just like we're talking about peace flowing, you know what I mean? Prosperity flowing, things flowing, joy flowing. You want to minimize and remove complaining, because anytime something didn't cooperate with them, they murmured and they thought about yesterday, or they thought about what used to be. So even sometimes unknown, some of you may even use like, it just wasn't like this when I was on my, or it wasn't like this when this, that, or, I don't know why it's like this, and you're complaining when you can be choosing to look forward and look into what God has for you. But if you keep complaining, it's going to continue to create cycles in your life, and it's going to be patterns of, you may even be getting close to something, but it kind of goes back, because complaining and murmuring, again, these words are creating an atmosphere of doubt and of unbelief. And remember, if you study the scriptures, the children of Israel, the children of God, couldn't enter to the land, not technically because of their murmuring, but because of their unbelief. But what happened is their murmuring continued to create and sow doubt and unbelief. Because usually when you murmur and you complain, there's no hope and there's no faith. Faith is saying, I believe that we're going to have a beautiful marriage. I believe we're going to have beautiful children. I believe that our children are blessed. I believe that my wife is blessed. You're not saying, I can't stand this, I can't stand her. Because when you continue to say that, it's as if it's not going to change. So when you complain, you're basically saying, even if you don't know it, that this is just is what it is, and it's not going to change. And I know sometimes we slip, sometimes, again, a lot of this, we grew up complaining. It's all the time. Natural to complain. It's like
entertaining.
It's entertaining to complain. It's entertaining to say, I'm not here because of my uncle. I would have did this, but I grew up like this. If my homie wouldn't have did me like that, we wouldn't be in, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, again, it's just saying like, because this happened, we can't get to this destination. But that's not the truth. God's thoughts towards you are good and not evil, to give you what? A hope and an expected end. So God is thinking, you can get through this. God is thinking, no, you do have a fruitful marriage. God is thinking, no, I did put this woman, I did put this man in your life. And this problem didn't come to take you out. It was to test and to show, and for you to stand up and use what God has given you. Use the faith that he's given you. Use his word that he's given you, and to deal with it. So again, complaining, it'll keep you in a loop, a constant loop. Like, it's like a CD that's like, remember we had the CD players, and if it was scratched up, it would keep do. You can't get to the next line. Your favorite part's about to come up.
Sometimes it'll be so bad where like you literally have to like take, like, I forgot, I think you had to skip the song because like it literally couldn't play. Like it'll be like, and I go.
It'll stop at that same part.
And you'll be stuck in that same part.
Oh my God! And you can't get the fullness of that beautiful song. So again, we don't want this. Your life is like a beautiful song. Think about the word of God. It's like a love letter. God is writing your story. He's the author and finisher of your faith. Don't get in the way of it with your complaining. Let it just write. Let it flow, and begin to say no. Like, you may be going through a financial problem. No, I know what God said. He shall supply all my needs. He makes all grace available. When you agree with what God says, you're going to get a God result. If you want a God result, speak in the same way that God is speaking concerning the situation, and he's not complaining, so
exactly. And like I feel like another thing is just also replacing complaining with contending in prayer. Yes. And so if you see anything you want to complain about, take it to the Lord. You know what I mean? Because like even when the Israelites, if they would have just been like, Lord, Abba, like we're so hungry, we need food, he would have just sent food. You know what I mean? So it's just like contend in prayer for these things. Yeah. And I would say a second part to the complaining before we move to the next one is like a life full of complaining. You're surrounding yourself with the darkness and the things that are just not that fire about your life right now. Yeah. And so if you're always complaining about, boy, I wish we have some more money to go out on a date. It's like, okay, well, instead of complaining, like, hey, babe, I see that we got some leftover spaghetti. You want to like get a blanket and just put it in the living room? We can have a little picnic together. And just do like little cute, intimate moments like that. Like we've had plenty of free dates where you just like even just go outside and just daydream together. But it's like turning these moments that are really hard to moments that are just so beautiful. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, that's what you need to do. And especially like women, like we need to just stop complaining, because a lot of times the world is beating so hard on our men at work, at colleagues, friendships, you know what I mean? The last thing they need is even for us to be complaining about what's going on at home. You know what I mean? Instead, encourage and again, pray about these things. And y'all can even have a mature conversation about some of this stuff where if there is financial things, but you know what, honey, I just want to come together and just speak the word over our finances together and to come to pray together, because I know the man that God created you to be, and I see that you are already him, and I know that a woman that God created me to be, and I know that he wants to expand us so that we can bless the widows and the like the fatherless and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because that really is what we're supposed to be doing here as believers, you know, being God's hands and feet on the earth. But it's just like, again, taking these moments of complaining, so because then it just dampens the mood. Like I mean, like it makes you sad. You're already living it. Why talk? You know what I mean? And so it's extending the pain. So like instead of doing that, champion each other. Instead of complaining, champion both of each other. And again, you will get out of this. But like continue to speak hope. Continue to like even just imagine and daydream these moments of like y'all having that debt paid off and y'all like having that amazing sex life. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, again, just like completely let go of complaining, because like anytime that we've complained, it set us down. And again, the joy of the Lord is our strength. You know what I mean? And so if the joy is ripped out by complaining, we're weak, and then the enemy is able to just toy around and play around.
Anything.
So
and just to add, this just came, it might not have been on here, but a lot of times you're complaining because you're comparing your relationship with somebody else's. Don't compare your relationship with those people down the block. Don't compare your relationship with that couple on Instagram. Listen, you do not know what is going on behind closed doors in a lot of those relationships. I'll tell you, there have been men who have said, like, just different men that I've looked up to, they've seen these couples and they know them, maybe they've counseled them, and they look really good on the outside. They look really great, but you don't know what's behind closed doors. But that's neither here nor there. What God is doing in your marriage and your relationship is what's important. Again, he's writing your specific story. So if you're trying to compare yourself with somebody else and where they are, of course you're going to complain because you think that you'll never get to that point, or you'll never, like, oh, my marriage isn't looking like theirs, so we're failures. That's not the truth.
It's a lie.
You're on a journey. Marriage, relationship, it's a journey. It's not just an end destination. It's a journey. It keeps going, and if you just allow that to happen, allow the Lord allow the Lord to take you on that journey, you're gonna see beautiful views. So don't look at the other people's views. Look at your views and be thankful for them.
All right, so we have two more dudes, and one of them's, you know, really cool, really cute. I'm kidding. Let's get it. Seeing your spouse as your main family and not your secondary family. And so we see that this happens a lot of times, especially depending on what culture you grew up in, where you'll hold mama and wife at the same, or you'll hold husband and dad at the same rate. But at the end of the day, the Lord said to leave and cleave to your wife.
Yep.
And so she is your main priority. He is your main priority. Your children are your main priority. And so, so when it comes to like speaking about things that are going on within your marriage, mama, sister, brother, dad, uncle, not the best people to speak with, because again, they're going to be siding with you anyway because you're of their blood. You know what I mean? But it's just like, take it to a pastor or take it to a man or woman of God who is in your life. You know what I mean? Who's trustworthy, who doesn't spread gossip, who isn't against your marriage, and who can also just give you like plain godly wisdom and advice that might even rebuke you, you know what I mean? Or not, or might encourage you. But again, just like, please, by all means, know that this this is your main priority now. This is your family. You know what I mean? And so just like honor each other and love each other. Take moments to just like invest into y'all and your own children. You know what I mean? And so you have anything to say about that?
I agree, especially how you said culture, because again, a lot of us, and it's a good thing, we grew up in families where we were very involved, we're very family oriented. However, they're not going to, it's kind of like, again, when your father was behind you, when you were learning how to ride your bike and you had the training wheels, you were riding on the training wheels. Now that you left them, your father and your mother, men, I'm speaking to you as well, you can't trust and rely on them to push you forward. You're on, the training wheels are off now. It's time for you to start riding on your own. So you can't rely and lean on them. And that's why, again, it's not a good thing to talk about your problems, because also it's when you have somebody like a pastor, it creates a non-bias, if I'm saying that right, because again, if I'm saying this to her family or they are finding out about this, think about it, that's their daughter. So if I'm doing something wrong or we have problems, they're gonna look at me and be like, why are you doing this to my daughter? A lot of times. And not forgive. And it can be that way, it cannot be that way. Some of you, maybe you do have your parents that counsel. So it's just better that way, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, again, it's even messed up. Now you're telling your problems to your parents. Now when you go around or you're having food, now they're thinking about that. So they're looking at you a certain way. So if she...
Or really even like feeding into it.
It's feeding into it too.
So I might be mad at Felix, and so I call my mom, we talk on the phone for like 2 hours. Next thing you know it, like my heart, the Lord heals that within our marriage and stuff. And then I go around my family, and then it's like that energy is like, hey, and then I get re-mad. And so it kind of keeps this cycle going, and you don't want that.
Exactly, you don't want that. So leave them out of it. That way you can just even have a greater experience with your family when you do visit, when you are around them as well.
So last do to seek full pleasure in your spouse.
Yes.
All right, you want to go first?
Full pleasure, again.
Not your arm.
You know what I'm saying? It's getting
this
real.
Whole video
it's getting real.
No, my gosh.
But look, what I've learned, and I'll just share my experience as a man. This is for y'all who, you know, this for the men, you know, you work hard, you know what I'm saying? You put the reps in, you put the time in everything, right? And you're doing well. I salute you, by the way. I salute you. I see you. You know what I'm saying? Even if nobody sees you, I see you. You know what I'm saying? You're really trying to make this thing work. You're working. You may even be taking overtime. You're trying to figure things out. Or you're just doing it. You're doing the thing. What'll happen is sometimes we'll get so in that zone that we forget this fountain right here. So when we come home and we expect things just to be on and popping immediately, when we haven't invested in that, again, it's not gonna be easy enough. Because the same way some of you are building your business, guess what? You had to put time into that business. Or that job, you're trying to get promoted, or that project, you had to put time into it, right? You had to put care into it. So it's the same way with pleasure in your marriage. You sow those seeds of pleasure. When you see your wife, you tell her she's beautiful, right? You tell her how good she looks. You tell her how much you love her. You know, again, you sow into that. You give into that. You invest into that, because again, what you sow, you will reap. So when you sow that pleasure in, again, some of us just think, oh, we're married, the pleasure is just supposed to be automatic. what I've learned and what I've had to humble myself as a man is I can't just always expect her just to be, again, hot and ready like a Hot Pocket, you feel me? Or like some Little Caesars, you feel me? Like,
not the
I have to show that into her, and it can be that way again because y'all love each other, especially if y'all are like newlyweds or y'all newly in the relationship,
or even 15 years in. And just
I'm not knocking that.
knocking
that. I'm just saying, especially because time goes and sometimes you can put it off. That's why I'm saying, you know, as we are longer invested, because again, sometimes because it's not freshly in there, you have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it going. So with pleasure, it's just as simple as, again, just like, you know what I'm saying, those little things that y'all do. Y'all have your own. I don't want to say it for you, but the things that you do that
that they do. I was like, the things. I was like, are you? You're not about to give examples for us.
Not that we do. You see me? You know
what I'm saying?
Yeah. But yeah, whatever y'all do, just do those things, and you'll create that pleasure. Again, with a lot of these things, again, these things are active. They're not just gonna happen. And some of you are just saying, well, why isn't my marriage working? Why isn't my relationship working? You gotta make that thing work. And it's not like it's gonna be hard. Like and it's gonna be challenging sometimes, but look, you can make that thing work. Just like if a car's not starting, look under the hood. Fix the sparks. You can make that thing work. You know what I'm saying? Even if it runs out, if it needs an oil change. These things happen. Make it work. It's your responsibility. We're grown now. Some of us, we're grown, y'all. Like, we're not. We can't have our parents make our bed anymore. We can't have anybody make our bed anymore. We out here. So if we out here, let's just make it happen. And I guarantee you, I believe in you guys. We believe in you. Why? Because you're the wise people. This is the wise family. And we're speaking to wise people. We're speaking to our wise people. You have the wisdom of God. You have what it takes, and God will give you that ability. He'll give you that strength. He'll give you that patience you need for each other. He has it in you. You can do it. You just have to be willing to do it. If he's giving you the ability, you just have to be willing to do it. And if y'all are both willing, and even if the other party isn't willing, when one's weak, one's strong, when another's strong, when another's weak, you can make it work. Just in overall with all of these things. And is there anything you want to conclude with?
Yeah, on that or just in general?
On that, on pleasure or in everything.
Yeah, of course. Store up all of that for your man. You know what I mean? Store up all of it for. Good. Yeah, just store it up. You know what I mean? So like, say, because again, I feel like we live in a very sensual world right now as well. Whether you're on Instagram, whether you're watching the dang on news, it's like so many different things.
It's a lot.
But instead of like wanting to pursue that one lane that's like, ooh, let me don't veer off. Use that momentum to drive faster on your own lane and to go towards. So if y'all both are like not entertaining, letting out, basically plug up the leaks. You know what I mean? And so like, don't let out a leak here where it's like you have like a guy friend, like a guy coworker, and you just like, no, like, don't stop flirting with him. Cut that out, you know what I mean? And save all of that energy
that's really
for
good.
Your man.
That's really
You know what
good.
I mean? And save all that energy for your woman, because again, like, we are, like, the Lord created us, you know what I mean? So sexual feelings are not bad. Like, being turned on is not a bad thing. But again, plug up all of the different little holes. Ask the Lord to fill those holes, you know what I mean? And then release over your partner. Because again, I feel like, you know, we might all go throughout the day and like you even might just be like, you know, at work and be like, dang, like I'm feeling good. Instead of going on TikTok, you know what I mean? And letting it out there. But save that for your wife, again, because
even
like,
send her a text. Like, if you feeling that way,
send him a text, you know?
That, again, it's one of those seeds, right? You send that text like, yo, I'm thinking about you, you feel me? I've been thinking about you, you know what I'm saying?
Or like send him a little picture, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where it's just like, again, like date each other in that way. Not date, if you dating, we ain't doing that.
Relax.
You know what I mean?
But save it for marriage.
Save it for marriage. Hey, do not awaken love before it's time.
Talk about it.
I'll link right here.
Link in bio.
Link in bio. But yeah, so we're going to do a whole nother video on that because we're very passionate about just couples just being able to keep that fire in their home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not out here doing bonfires every other weekend.
Nah,
we don't need no marshmallows over here, boy.
It's not gonna work.
In conclusion, seriously, you need to realize that it's a war in the city, it's a war outside.
Shouts out to Caleb Gordon.
Hey, Caleb Gordon. Okay. Really? Anyway, but literally, like, this is something that the Lord has brought together. So don't you think the enemy wants to rip it apart?
Yeah.
Anything that the Lord has brought together, the enemy's against it. Yeah. Like, that's on period. That's just it. Yeah, it's just on Front Street. It's like one of those things. So it's like, say if something randomly happens, or he randomly says something, or she randomly says something, look at it from a place of war where it's like, am I going to allow this dart to get within my marriage, or am I going to just repel it? And so become just like repellent to the enemy's darts. And the more you do that, the stronger your skin gets, and the better it is. A lot of our hearts are getting hard, but the Lord's wanting our skin to get hard. Amen. You know what I mean? He wants the heart to stay soft, but the skin to get hard. Amen. You know what I mean? That way nothing can get in. Yeah. And all that's within is all that we need. Yes. But nothing else is getting in. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. But anyway.
All right, man. Again, do's and don'ts, but the best do, again, receive Christ. Make him Lord, because he's the head of your home, the head of your marriage. So all that blessing, all that peace, all that goodness we're talking about comes from the head. And it flows down. So say, Jesus, you are Lord of my life. You're Lord of our marriage. I believe that God raised you from the dead. You're alive. You're not just dead. You're alive in my marriage. Your word is alive and it's active in my life. And if you declare that, hey, you're a child of God. And now it's not just your responsibility. It's God's responsibility to help y'all out. To help y'all out, to see y'all through, because he's your father and he loves you. And we love you. This is Wise Family. We love you guys.
Amen.
Keep sending the prayers in. We're praying for y'all, by the way, for real. We're praying for y'all. Send those prayers in.
It's a link down there.
And if you made that decision, let us know, comment it. That's all I got.
Y'all, I'm ready to take the sweater off.
I'm ready to eat. Yay.
Oh my gosh. What? Okay.
Hey, pleasure.